All right, hi, I'm here with Shalah Collins. And hi. And yeah, we got in touch with each other, and I thought you had a really interesting story. So, Shalah, my first question, which I've been asking everyone, is how long have you been on the Democratic plantation, or were you always on the Democratic plantation?
So I would say up into 2016, I was on the Democratic plantation, but probably hopped off, I would say, before because as I started to pay attention to Barack Obama's presidency, there were so many things that I didn't like, or that I found myself, being really critical of. And so, when it came down to who's gonna, take over, and the options came up, I kind of I found myself not agreeing with both parties for the most part. So I found myself to be more independent. And so I was critical of both. So when Bernie Sanders, as we spoke about before, announced himself running, um, he has always been an independent. And it seems like strategically he ran as a Democrat because he figured that that's an established party that he would probably get further, or push his agenda further by running on that platform. So that's how I kind of went in there. And I voted for Al Gore back in 2000, was it? I haven't been voting for that long. I'm an 80s baby. Just
Yeah, I think I voted for Al Gore too. I wasn't. Now I don't. I can't stand him, but I did.
yeah.
I did at one point. I think he was running against Bush back then.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
think, like, I heard one of your videos, you kind of probably ended up voting just kind of the way that your parents may have voted. And you didn't really think twice about it. Like, it was kind of like, all right, that's who you're voting for? Okay. Didn't know anything. So
You know what too? Do you feel? I used to feel like this, and I wonder. Do you think that like a lot of Black people think that politics just aren't for them?
I think they have for a long time. I would
Yeah.
have
Until
people,
maybe Obama. You know what I mean?
yes, like with Obama's election, it was hilarious. I remember when I went to go vote for Obama, the lines that were out there at the ballot boxes were insane. I mean,
Yeah.
there was people with like flip flops, slippers, and do
Yes,
rags.
girl. I was up at like 5 o'clock that morning. And then I
Yes.
got up at 5, I voted, and then I went to the pool for the rest of the day and just swam
Uh-huh.
because I like to swim, so I was really
Yes.
nervous.
Yes. Oh, for what was going to happen? That was the kind of
Yeah, I
way.
was just trying to be
Well,
like, I'm just gonna swim, I'm gonna swim it out. Like just, yeah.
how cool. Well, I had an Obama party. No one ever talks about that. So when I say that, people are, yeah, the Bible party, I did. I had red, white, and blue. I was watching all the pundits. I was watching the polls, and it was just exciting back then. There was that whole hope and change, and obviously a historic candidate. It was like a no-brainer. You just had
And he
to.
was hot.
Had
He was very handsome.
course. Absolutely. They had like people doing cheesy videos singing about him.
Girl,
It was
I
like,
would drive around and listen to the Will I Am song in my car and like just cry. Like I was I think though, I mean, but I really had to dig deep and be like, all right, I really voted for him because I want to see a Black person in office, and I really didn't think politics through. I didn't think about policies. I didn't think about any of that.
yes.
Because I think, all the other presidents who were white before him, my thinking at the time, now I don't think like that, but my thinking at the time was like, oh, these white men and they're rich white men, they don't care about women, they
Right.
don't care about Black people. Oh, but here's a Black person, he's going to be more compassionate, he's going to have an understanding because he knows what discrimination is like, and he's hot. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, and like his family looked beautiful. He had these great daughters, and, I read Dreams from My Father, but as I've gotten into geopolitics and politics, and now I'm still, on my journey. I'm not even finished. I'm still discovering the different types of political parties, and
Yes.
and I'm actually reading. I had it next to me. I don't have it next to me. The Communist Manifesto, not because I want communism, but I'm trying to understand the other side and figure things out. And now looking into geopolitics, and I'm looking at Mao, and I'm looking at what happened in other countries now, and trying to apply that to here. So I've had to expand my worldview and my knowledge of things. But it's
Yeah.
sad. I think a lot of people. I mean, it's a lot of work, and a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of, huh?
It is. No, it is. As far
Yeah.
as getting yourself familiar with the different ideologies, the different point of views, the different perspectives,
Yeah.
and also like knowing what was going on at certain times when certain movements and, certain ideologies kind of took over.
Yeah, yeah, and seeing and now I'm realizing the danger of people just not thinking that just because somebody looks like you that they have your best interest in mind, and
Absolutely.
and assuming because somebody doesn't look like you that they don't, and I think that's a dangerous. I think people do that as a defense mechanism because it's
Mhm.
easy, and they think, oh, this person looks like me, they like me, and if they don't, they don't. Easy, but it's more complicated than that.
Yes.
And I think, a lot of people, they don't want to admit that they were wrong or they were bamboozled. And two, they don't really want to do the intellectual work, you know.
Because it's a lot of work doing research and, actually reading articles because nowadays people only read headlines.
Oh,
They don't
yeah.
read the information that's actually in the piece. It's just the headline and then they just go with it. So it's like, what is it, like realistic journalism? All the components are, all
Yeah.
those things just have went completely out the window. And you have kind of one people would say like you have each side that's kind of trying to push their narrative, but at the same time too, everybody needs you do need someone who's going to get your cause out, whatever it is
Yeah.
that you're trying to put out into the universe. But it has to be fair. It's like the facts don't even matter anymore.
It doesn't. And what people really need to do is look at both sides. Because I watch a lot of alternative media, and at least with the alternative media, they don't pretend to be fair. They have their own, they're honest about their point
where
of
they
view. But
stand.
even in that, there are people that have their personal agendas or their personal biases, and I just think that's human nature. I don't think
Yes,
anybody's going to be fair. But the
right.
thing is, like the mainstream media, they're corporate run. They're run by these people that are globalists that have their own larger foreign interest in mind that don't have the people's interest in mind. And people have to understand too, with alternative media, it's grassroots. It's for the people. It's funded by the people. And journalists are supposed to be the fourth estate. They're
Yes,
supposed to be the go-between between the higher ups and then the people, to keep them honest and to let people know what's going on. But so I don't understand how people. Well, I guess I do understand because people. I understand because people are ignorant of that. But
yes,
they think that they're being fair and they're like being righteous, but they're siding with the corporate media. I'm just
yeah.
like, you're
Ah,
siding with
well,
the people that don't like you.
that's right.
They don't realize that they can't talk about certain things in the corporate media because like the pharmaceutical industries, the oil industries, like other industries don't. They're not going to let them be honest because they're funding them. So
Absolutely.
it, I don't know. Just people are
Absolutely.
just. To me, it's just common sense, but I'm just like.
And so even so, in 2016, when I was watching, I was watching the way the reporting was going from each media outlet. And I found myself, because I was supporting Sanders at the time, I found myself, because CNN, MSNBC, ABC, whatever, it was so blatantly obvious who was the favored candidate in the way that they reported, in the way that they made sure they didn't cover rallies. They didn't want you to see, but they did the same thing to Donald Trump as well. They
Yeah.
also didn't cover his rallies. They didn't show you those big, loud, boisterous crowds and
Yes, I saw.
people turning out for his rallies. Um, and so I seen the way they would snub and really talk really bad about Bernie, and I would match the two. So I couldn't only watch them. If you listen to the left and how they talk about, oh, Fox News, you think they're on a whole nother planet.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the way the two are reporting, but I didn't find myself as somebody who used to be a Democrat. I wasn't always. Did I tune in and tolerate Fox News? Of course I did. Did I see sometimes when they're pushing a narrative over another? Yes, I have. but I found myself just looking for simple objectivity. I needed objection to all this craziness I'm hearing on the left right now. And it was crazy. So I'm like, wow, okay. Well, you know what? They seem like they're really being fair and balanced, because at least I don't feel like they're pushing a narrative on me. They were actually reporting the news at this point in time. But I also saw the similarities, and whether some people don't see that or not, there is similarities between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump as far as the populist candidate that says that they're for the people. Donald Trump did the same thing, and he did well in those Rust Belt states, because those are places that have unions. A lot of working people, a lot of those folks have seen their jobs leave through NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. Then you had the TPP, which Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders were both adamantly against, which they understood and seen the writings on the wall. Obama was a big pro-TPP person. So was Hillary Clinton, until she found it to be unpopular. And then she pretended to be like she was against it, but she was on record saying that it was the gold standard. So this was something that was going to take more American jobs away, make things badder, and worse for us. So that was something that both of them were against. So I saw the appeal early on to me with Donald Trump. Even though I was on the Bernie side, I still was watching and seeing. I watched the Republican debates. I was entertained. I had a great time, actually. I was laughing. I was like, wow, he sounds like a New Yorker. Look at face, or that charisma. So, I mean, like, I just seen it. There was just something that he had. There was a spark, and in knowing how to definitely galvanize a crowd and get people's attention. So I saw that during that time. And at one point in time, I remember saying, I think this might have been March of 2016, I was like, listen, if it is denied that they continue to do what they're doing, and I seen what was happening in the Democratic Party, and Bernie Sanders is not going to be the nominee, I was like, if it's Hillary Clinton, Trump's going to win. That's it. I didn't care what the pundits were saying. Yeah. It was this anti-establishment climate that was going on behind the scenes. And if you paid attention on internet, like, I think at one point in time, Trump said something like, you need to get on social media. Like, that's where it's at. And it's the truth. Yeah, like, smart, people are not, they're not tuning into corporate media. I see that as an older crowd, like perhaps my mother and maybe some older folks that are tuning into CNN and MSNBC or whatever, Fox, whatever you call these regular corporate media outlets. And so that's the kind of news that they get. The majority of people are getting their news from online, and it's a whole lot quicker. The stories come out a lot quicker online. So it seems like even then, Trump had a pulse of what was going on as well. And that's why probably he was successful.
Yeah. I mean, what am I trying to say? I didn't get into Trump until after he won. Sad to say. Just because I was just apathetic to voting. So yes. I didn't care. But I knew, like, for damn sure I was not voting for Hillary, because I knew about all her shenanigans before. I was like, before she even ran. Like, I knew about her, like, because when I was looking into Obama, I found out a lot of stuff that Hillary did too, and that he was linked with it as well. Like, so I was like, oh, they're both corrupt. Okay, well, she's not getting my vote. I don't care if she's a woman. And then after I was honest about and kind of saw how it was like my emotions were manipulated to vote for Obama because he was black.
Yes.
I was like, okay, well, they're going to do the same thing, and they're going to use the woman card, the female card. And sure enough, that's what they did. And all these women that are insecure about their femininity and being a woman are going to fall right into that, just like, like a fly trap.
It was awful. I'll give you two things with Hillary Clinton back in 2008. For one, she had, actually, which no one even realizes is that it's on record that she started the whole birther myth about Obama not being born on United States soil. She had a picture float around with him with a turban that he was like a Muslim. And then the third thing was that it was the weirdest thing when they were interviewing her. It was getting to the end. It was obvious that she needed to step down. The people were all behind Obama. They wanted him to be the nominee. And she said something like, what was it like in June, like, about the primary ending. She made this statement about how, JFK was assassinated and this year. And it was like, are
But he
you
was.
saying So are you saying you're waiting for someone to do this? Are you staying in the race because you're waiting for someone to assassinate the first potential black candidate for the office of the presidency? So it was eerie and weird then. And it was like, oh my God, like, whoa. So there's something wrong with that. The fact that she just said that with no problem, like with no hesitation.
Well, I definitely, I mean, I can't like diagnose her. I'm not a doctor. And even if I was, I can't do this over the internet, but I did for sure, because that's illegal. But my opinion as a layperson is that she's a psychopath, you know? And she will use, psychopaths will use anything to get what they want. So they'll use racism. Maybe they're not even necessarily racist, but they'll use racism, or they won't be racist. Whatever they need to get their way. Yeah, like that like one of her mentors was a recruiter and a cyclops for the Ku Klux Klan, right? Robert Byrd.
Which one?
Robert Byrd. His name was Robert Byrd.
I did not know that.
There's footage of Bill Clinton. Maybe I can see if I can find it too, or I'm sure somebody will put the comments, can link it in the comments. Hint, hint. That there's footage of Bill Clinton talking about Senator Robert Byrd as her mentor. There's pictures of her like kissing him on the cheek and stuff, and you can go research Robert Byrd, and you can see that he was definitely linked to the Ku Klux Klan. Not only that, he was a high-ranking member and recruiter. Wow. So it's not like, maybe I can be a little bit more forgiving if he like joined as a kid and maybe he got out. It's kind of like, but no, he was like, he had his talons in deep, so it wasn't like on a whim or anything. Like, and that's her mentor.
I remember about her being like, she was a Goldwater girl. They was for segregation, and she was out campaigning.
I mean, she's a racist, and people think that racists are the ones that call you the N-word and stuff, but the real racists, the ones that do the most damage, pretend to be your friend. Well, just like your friends. Huh?
I'd rather know the snake in front of me, or
exactly,
in front of me, than the snake in my backyard. Like, that's just.
Oh, totally. If I go into a restaurant, they're like, "Get out, nigger." I'm like, "Cool. I won't ever eat here again," and I'll tell everybody I know not to eat here. But don't go in the restaurant. And I'd rather that than like I go in the restaurant and be like, "Oh, hi," and then like poison my food. You know what I mean? Or do something to my food and make me sick or something.
Exactly.
I'd rather that. Like. People want to be racist, that's their loss. As long as nobody's physically standing in my way, then I'm not going to even complain about it. I'll just go elsewhere, Yes. If I want a job and that's the only job that I can get in that field, and they're standing in my way, then I'll complain or fight. But if not, like, I just won't give them my business or my energy. It's sad. I wouldn't, like, I have, my family's mixed. I have lots of friends and family of all races. Mm-hmm. I'm really blessed to have, people of different races in my life and ethnicities and cultures in my life. So for me, thinking somebody is racist like that, that's just like, why? You're missing out on so much. They don't even know,
Right, for the real racists. But what I don't like is the whole emotional blackmail. Because this is what they use these days, the politics of emotional blackmail. So if I can invoke and I can manipulate your emotions and make you feel a way and get you outraged and angry about something, then you're blind to the facts, and now you're only focused on emotions. And emotions make us crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that we feel 1 week, like, so the way I feel today, give me a couple of days to pass, I'm going to feel completely different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they govern on this politics of emotion, and it's just like they use the race as a tool, the whole women thing as a tool. Like, I'm like, yes, I'm a woman, first and foremost, okay, I get that. But, I mean, the whole notion of feminism has been corrupted and manipulated and changed to mean something completely different today. Just now, it's just that because you're a woman, I have to vote for you. That's crazy.
But that's just as discriminatory. You know what I mean? Like,
The same thing that we're trying to fight against.
Yeah.
You're a hypocrite because you're saying that just let's only look at this factor only and then, disregard anything else. I don't like your policy. I don't like that you have a public face and a private face. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't like that you have overturned the government. You were instrumental in overturning the government in Libya, and now that they are back in slavery, which Gaddafi said if he was removed in 2010, there's a video where he's talking about that Libyans are going to be back in slavery. And what do we have right now? I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah, black people here want to complain about slavery. They've never been through it, and it's still going on today.
Right. You have
look at how China treats their people too. They're slaves as well.
Absolutely.
It's going on all over the world, even in places you probably don't even know about. But people would be like, "Oh, microaggressions! I'm so offended." Like, I don't understand.
They're not outraged about anything else. So, for example, remember also I told you that I have a picture where I was in front of the Brooklyn Board of Elections. They had deleted over 200,000 people. Now, Bernie originally is from Brooklyn. That's where I'm from. They had deleted over 200,000 people off the voter rolls. So people I spoke to were saying that when they went to go vote, they were registered Democrats, they switched them to independents. Now, we don't have open elections. All these melting pots in places like New Jersey and New York, we're so diverse and we're so progressive, right? They don't have open primaries like other states do, where they're not controlling the process. It's a very controlled process. So I have to be a registered Democrat in order to vote. Or I have to be a registered a Republican, to vote in the primaries. So if you don't change your party affiliation before maybe 6 or 7 months, then you can't vote in a primary, which is crazy. So this is the way it works. But they specifically were switching people's names from registered to now independent. So if you're a registered Democrat or Republican, they switch you to independent. And I mean, if you had open primaries where anybody can vote in the primaries, wouldn't that seem to be more democratic, as they love to use these terms? Doesn't that seem like that would be more in line with a free and open election process? But they don't really want that. So 200,000 people deleted off the voter rolls. We're out there. I had a sign. I don't remember what the sign was, but it was so obvious. And this was in Bernie's district, that they did this purposely. There was also information that I think the lady who was the head, she might have been the director. She got fired, but at least maybe about 5 years in advance, she had this crappy brownstone in Harlem. And it was dilapidated. It was on the down. And some Democratic person bought it for 6 or 7 times the amount that would essentially basically made her a millionaire. And here we go, fast forward, because this woman has basically been running for the presidency for maybe her entire life. There's rumors that that she was really behind Bill Clinton. She was the instrumental one behind lots of things. But anyhow, so they set this woman up, this Board of Elections director, and she kind of did the bidding when it came down to now 2016, the primaries in New York City. So, and then also in Michigan, more Rust Belt, Midwest, Bernie Sanders won Michigan. She didn't win Michigan. She went on to not win Michigan as well in the general election. I mean, think about the blue states that turned red. I mean, if they don't understand, there was people that voted for Obama in 2012 that flipped and voted for Trump in 2016.
Yeah.
So I mean, they don't have a remedy. They don't have an answer to that. It's easier to use racism, sexism, misogyny, and it's just you feel. I'm so when I watch and I'm are you serious? I just can't.
Yeah,
I have no thought anymore.
Yeah, I know. No, you know what too? Well, my thing, I mentioned earlier, I didn't vote, but I started watching. First of all, what really got me to get back into politics was people's reactions. Because my brother, he went to Berkeley, and that's all you need to know. But he wrote, he changed his cover on Facebook and says, "Rip America, 2016." and it was like black and white picture. And then he wrote something, I'm paraphrasing, but like the only thing that is getting me through this day is to know that that Donald Trump became president not because of hatred, but because of sheer ignorance. I'm like, that's the most arrogant thing I've ever heard. So I was just like, so I kind of laughed a little bit. I was like, all right, whatever. You're a little bit full of yourself, but yeah, I'll let you slide, because I remember when Gore lost and Bush won, I was mad, and I was a little bit dramatic and stuff too.
You went to sleep.
Yeah.
You woke up, Bush was president.
Yeah, I was just like, what, again? I was like, no, so I thought like it would pass over a couple days, because that's all it took me to get over it, but it just kept going and going, and then pictures of people like throwing temper tantrums and crying, and then the Berkeley riots, and just people just going crazy. So then I watched the inauguration, and I saw how they lied. I watched it from the beginning live, and I saw like the pictures that they showed were the pictures when they just opened the waiting area or whatever, right, where people sat down, and those are the pictures that they used, because by the time I saw the full inauguration, it was darn near packed, except for one section wasn't as packed, and that was a section where they weren't letting people in. And like Antifa was there, and they were blocking people, and I knew some people that actually went there, and they weren't able to get in.
Wow.
So I'm like, first of all, I knew that was a lie. Plus, I had been not trusting CNN even before the election. I knew that CNN lied by omission, and they didn't tell the whole truth, but now I'm like, whoa, they're just like making stuff up.
Yeah.
They're just making stuff up. So this is kind of like my revelations with like going back. And then I started going back and watching the debates between Trump and other people, and watching his speeches. And I was like, wow, they're just cutting sections of his speeches, and they're like adding their own spin to it, but they're not being honest about what's being said.
That's right.
And then these people, these intellectuals, I have a whole issue with intellectuals, and like they're not, I can do a whole other video on that.
Intellectual bullies now. Now it's like, when you even
credentialist bullies, yeah.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Credentialism and credentialist bullies. Like they're like, well, I'm a PhD, because I'm a PhD. You should listen to everything that I have to say, because you're stupid and I'm not. Like,
exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
Okay. But I just love just not giving them the time of day and not even caring, because that's like the best thing you can do to those jerks, because they live for that. Their insecurity, their relevance thrives on you worshiping them and listening to what they have to say. And if you don't, they don't know what to do with that, and they get like really offended, And then the people that are into higher education, if they're into higher education for good reason or not. Like, did they get into higher education to actually learn more and be giving with their knowledge, or did they get into higher education to use their knowledge as a weapon to basically bully people?
I would say so. Now, for example, I have a big labor lawyer that was my professor when I was in Cornell taking labor relations courses, and this guy used to also work for the New York Times. Big mouth, loud mouth, sweet guy. So he reached out to me on Twitter just the other day saying, "Are you a Trump supporter?" Right? I guess he's looking at my post and stuff. And it's like, what the hell? So, what I said was that, very calmly, because, I know that they're crazy. Everybody has this, it's like trigger a liberal or this crazy Trump syndrome.
And they'll destroy your life. They can't even they will. I think, did I tell you about that guy that I interviewed that was in college, and his colleague found out, and she basically was like, I'm going to have to tell the professor, I don't think you're going to be an effective psychologist. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So I had to pull his interview because of her.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I would curse her out if I saw her.
That's the bullying. Those are bullying tactics. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, it was none of her business.
Exactly.
It was none of her business.
That doesn't think like you or feel the same way as you, the same things don't outrage me that outrage you. There's a problem with that. And I think that is cult-like. That's a cult.
Yeah, it is. That's cult mentality.
It's a cult mentality. Like, just forget about actually real facts. They don't care about that. It's all about feelings. So we're all these walking emotions, and the minute like someone steps on it, like, I'm not going to walk on eggshells.
Yeah, me neither.
Tongue. I don't care. I'm going to be bold and confident about it. Like, if you support it, then you support it. If you support it, what's the problem? So I simply responded to my former professor to say, I respect the office of the presidency, no matter who's in it. And I also said, I want to see my president succeed. I'm in this country. I don't want to see his downfall or something. So, I
Because
mean,
that's
if
going to affect me, right? Like personally.
absolutely. So I gave him a very diplomatic approach without the arguments of how stupid the Democrats and the left seem right now with all this crazy nonstop Trump hysteria. So, I mean, I'm just turned off by it all. But now it's like, so he's like, oh, that's unfortunate. I'm so sorry to see that. Like they pacify you and they talk in this
condescending,
like you're so stupid and you just don't know any better. And I'm just like, I can't. The more and more that
that's my brother. My brother's like that. My brother was like, I went to college and I know what fake news is. I'm like, well, I went to college too. Oh, I didn't go to Berkeley, so I guess that's not college. Even though I'm a teacher, I went to state school, but I'm a teacher. I taught outside the country, and but I guess my my intellect is no match for yours. But I'm like, oh wow, like our relationship has not been the same since this election because, and even it sucks because I was willing to. I'm like, okay, I can agree to disagree. I'm not going to be like, well, you're the stupid one. Like you need to and he voted for Hillary. He didn't even vote for Bernie because I can give people some leeway that voted for Bernie, but if you just straight up vote for Hillary and still mad that she didn't win, like you have a serious problem. Like something's wrong with you.
Yeah, there's a traditional then you're a traditional Democrat if you voted for Hillary, like you just said, because at least she is a public record and her record is pretty extensive. I mean, I think
it's not even like I'm getting this on underground news. Like you can a lot of the stuff she's done. It
doesn't take much.
Wait, I just want to correct something or clarify something. Because I know people that voted for Hillary that aren't really stupid and but I think they just check the box and they're just whatever. They didn't really, but they don't care whether she won or not. They're not still trying to push.
Those folks kind of just voting according to party lines.
Yeah, like my mom's like that. But she's cool.
Like her.
Yeah, my mom's like that. She's like, I voted for Hillary. Next, we'll see what happens in 4 years. Right. I'm done. Whatever. But she's not she's not out preaching that Hillary should be president. She's an amazing person.
She doesn't really like her. There's no enthusiasm. There's no excitement. What I'm saying is these people that just check the box, they weren't excited the way they were excited back in 2008 for Obama. Yeah. There's none of that. It's kind of like just, well, she's the person on the ticket, so all right.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But then there are those people, and then those people that they will never say that they want a woman president, did this but they just, in deep down, it's their own insecurities, and they want a woman president. And even if it's a dude, they got pussy whipped into, excuse my language, they got whipped into saying that, that they want Hillary to win. And I see dudes that are supposedly have girlfriends that are like, yeah, I'm with Hillary. I'm like, ugh, that's gross.
Why?
That's such a turnoff.
Why? There's so many other great women you could vote for. And I think Cynthia McKinley.
I love her. She's phenomenal.
From the Green Party. So she was actually the first woman to run for president. And she was much more, if you want to deem feminist, than Hillary Clinton.
You know what? I'm going to correct you. I think there was Shirley Chisholm, and there could have been there was another black woman in the 70s or something that ran.
Yes.
Shirley Chisholm, and then there was somebody else, but you can say maybe one of the first. So she wasn't. There were just, I guess, what you're trying to say is there were people before Hillary.
There's some examples of that, prior to her. It was just so fake. We want her to break the glass ceiling and.
Stuff is gonna change and get better because a woman was in office. Like I said, I learned that with Obama. That's not. And then also people need to realize the power that they have. They can't just put their energy into one person to change everything.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are just lazy. Absolutely. They just think the president's gonna do. Even though, I think Trump's doing a good job. In a lot of areas, I'm not gonna be well, I'm still not depending on him to. He's not directly affecting my life totally every day.
Right. So how can you go so crazy? Oh, Trump. How? There's not, what do you call them? There's not drones like they are in other countries. We're in war with 6 or 7 other countries right now. There's drones dropping down and body parts blowing around. How am I so angry at the president? Oh my God.
Yeah, and there are people that I was in the singing group, and like I'd be like, hey, what's going on, guys? How's your day today? And they're like, oh, it's miserable because Trump is president. I'm like, is he like? Did he hit your car? Like, 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 what is he doing? Is he like, is his dog crapping on your lawn? Like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand how you're taking this so personally. Because even if Hillary won, I'd just be like, oh, I can't stand her. But I wouldn't be like every day, like, oh, Hillary, oh, my life.
Understand.
Ah.
Not gonna understand it. I'll give you another thing. You said you're a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Are you part of a union?
Oh, well, I used to work for LAUSD. I taught in Taiwan for 2 years. Then I came back and taught at a prep school, and I teach online. But I taught online, but now I just quit that job. So I'm doing Lyft.
Okay,
so you have to. Currently, I'm not teaching.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, and the only reason why I brought that up was because, I know at one point you used to, maybe not anymore, you were in California at some point in time, right? Mm-hmm. And so they have like big teachers union. And one case right now that's pending in the Supreme Court is the Janus versus the California Teachers Association, which basically is a group of, I would say probably, or a teacher who's saying that it's against her First Amendment rights that they're forcing her to pay union dues if like she doesn't believe in the organization or anything. So they have something called dues checkoff, which makes you like you're forced. They have it in New York. They have it in New Jersey. Lots of these kind of liberal states is that wherever there's a big union stronghold, they usually have it where you automatically pay. It comes out directly out of your paycheck into your union dues. So she's saying that she doesn't want that to happen and it's against her First Amendment rights. Now, if we know about kind of Republicans and conservatives on the right, they have always been historically looked upon as kind of anti-union. They're more for free market and, they call unions special interest groups for the most part, because also at the same time, it doesn't help their cause if all the time they raise money and stuff and they go support the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. So because of that kind of behavior in voting, they kind of have basically, deemed them to be a special interest group. And it looks that way if every time when money is raised and everything, it goes basically for the Democratic Party. So this Supreme Court case is pending right now. And I don't know if you remember Judge Scalia that died. Some crazy guy.
He died.
Won't get into that. Yeah.
That's another interview, but yeah.
A person who was a union leader, they were like happy that he died because they were like, oh gosh, because they were so concerned that he was going to be the one to put the nail in the coffin. He's a conservative judge, and if you looked at the way that he's voted in the past and the tone that he was applying to this whole case was like, oh my God, he's going to take us back 20, 30 years or whatever, that he was kind of gonna rule in the favor of Janus. So against the teachers. And so when he died,
but he died.
So he died. So it was just 4-4 now, right? Yeah. For the Supreme Court. So that basically all it did was kick it down the road. So, I mean, there's people that know that sometimes the most important thing in the presidency is your Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the law of the land. So who gets appointed makes a huge, big difference. So when I was like, oh my God, I said, it's going to be so funny when Trump wins. I said the unions are going to be running so scared because now Scalia, another conservative, they thought, yeah, Scalia's out. He's just going to appoint another one. So I think Gorsuch, if I'm saying that right.
Gorsuch, yeah.
He was just appointed. So, I mean, they're concerned. And I just read a recent article. There's like, when I was at my meetings, they said there was like 26 other pending cases, just like the Janus versus California Teachers Association. So what it's telling you is that people are not happy with their unions. They're not happy with the representation. The members don't feel like they're being represented. And I actually had, if you want to give me a second, I don't think I have it in front of me, but there was this article that the big union bosses were all meeting. And they wanted to put their support behind Hillary Clinton. But you had rank and file, you had California, the nurses union, I want to say it was, big union, who were like, no, Bernie is the one that had a record and labor where he supported workers and workers' rights in opposition to Hillary Clinton. So, I mean, these union members came and they knew their stuff and they were like shutting it down. And one of the big bosses covered the mic and was like, no, we're not going to have that. So forget it. We don't care. The members that basically fund this whole organization, if it wasn't for the members' money, unions wouldn't be in business. They wouldn't, because they're a nonprofit organization. Yeah. The only money that keeps them afloat is your money. Yeah. And so they basically shut down rank and file. No, we don't want to hear that. This is what we're going to do. You can't do that. So, I mean, this is why, again, I feel like he did well in places like Rust Belt states in Pennsylvania, which is very close to me, Michigan and Wisconsin. Those were all kind of Rust Belt states, and those were going to be considered to be blue states. No one expected him to win those states. So that blue wall was broken down, and he won. So, I mean, it's political retribution. I was like, I had a drink the night of the election. I'm like drinking and watching. I'm like laughing. I'm watching Rachel Maddow. I'm watching.
You watching all the cry. That was great.
Oh my God.
That was great.
Their faces, they're nervous, they're talking, they're concerned. TYT politics. Oh, it was so hilarious.
It was beautiful. It was mwah. It was great.
I love
Bellissimo.
Oh my gosh, I was laughing. I was like, good. This is like poetic justice. It's awesome. And I stood up the whole night, the entire night. And I was wishing that I was still at my old employer, which I used to work for the NYPD. That some say is the biggest gang in the world. But I'm not going to go there.
Were you a police officer?
Oh, no. I was in the communication side.
Okay.
So, anyhow, I was working there, and I would walk around, and I worked with a lot of women. Oh, you got to vote for Hillary. And I was like, please, I'm not voting for Hillary. So, people want to debate me and get into an argument with me, like, and this one's old, and Trump's a racist and stuff. I was like, Trump's entertaining. I find him hilarious.
Yeah, like, you know what the thing about Trump is, too? I think he's just a straight-up, old-fashioned New Yorker. Because if he wasn't running for president, people would appreciate his no-nonsense attitude and his sense of humor.
Absolutely. And it was my brother that sent me a video during the 2016 election. This real subtle video where they was interviewing Donald Trump. And he came over as very likable. He knew what he was talking about. He didn't sound like a moron or an idiot. He's very cool, calm, collective, and totally in control. And I was like, I see his appeal. I can see it.
And there's tons of pictures of him just partying with black people.
Yes.
Before he ran for president. I'm like, seriously, but he's a racist all of a sudden?
King. He's hanging out at WWF. He was like a socialite.
Yeah. He was living it up and having fun. Like he knows he had money, he's made money, and he's also going to enjoy his life. And
absolutely.
How can you get mad at that unless you're a hater, you know?
Yes, because that's what they are. When it really comes down to
I can understand if he's done something really bad, but he hasn't done half the stuff. You know, who knows what his past is, and as far as money, you know, there's a debate about, like, how somebody can get that rich without having some blood or dirt on their hands. But at the same time, I don't know. Huh?
How did Hillary Clinton, how don't you produce an actual product? You didn't make anything.
Yeah.
You know, how does a person in political office become a multi-millionaire? I mean, who even knows? And this is what we know on record. She's into that global market. She's already all in the global market. So who knows what her money's hidden in how many places?
Yeah, totally.
You know, she's a billionaire, I would say, probably. But this is what's reported, what we know of that's on the record right now.
She's incredibly powerful. She has a lot of people that are behind her. And you know, she has a string of dead people in back of her. Which, I mean, all the stuff you can find on record. It's not like it's hard to find.
It's funny you brought that one up. What was his name? I don't know if I'm saying it right. It might have been John Ash. He's a black guy that worked for the United Nations. Okay. He was one of my professor's bosses when I was in this web design class. And John Ash, the black guy, is the one that he's supposed to testify or give some kind of commentary, something having to do with the Clinton Foundation. He died like a person in jail.
Did he die? He died.
They dropped a barbell on his neck. That's like some prison kind of murder. And saying that, oh, by accident, he was lifting weights and, like.
Yeah, that's like some stuff out of The Omen. That, you know what I mean? Like, have you seen The Omen? How people just die, like, what is that? What is that movie, Final Destination, where, like, death comes and gets you? Like, that's ridiculous. No, I read a couple of the cases where it was, like, one girl that was supposed to testify against Bill Clinton. She died with a bullet hole to the back of the head, and then they were like, "Oh, she shot herself."
Right, I was gonna say,
but it was from far range. The autopsy report was like it was from far away, but she shot herself from far away. Yeah.
Who does that? It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Judges turning up on beaches dead. Yeah. I mean, there's all these dying by suicide, but there's no investigation. I'm like, if this was Forensic Files, you know, if you see one of these shows,
like
how
CSI,
are these murders solved? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, just with that alone, I think there was, was it attached to the Clintons? Like, I know there was one guy that died, and they said his arms were cut off, but they said he killed himself. Like, but his arms were cut off. Like, how did he kill? Like,
who has time to do that? Who has time to do that? The federal judge that was found on the beach, he bashed his head with a blunt object. That's how.
He was like, he died.
What the hell?
This is so bad. I mean, we shouldn't be like. I mean, I feel bad. Not like I no disrespect to the victims, but it's just the ridiculousness.
It's insane.
It's us also too. Like, I'm just so sick of the media. Like, my intelligence is insulted. Like, they really think that we're stupid. A lot of the stuff now that they're feeding us, even with the school shootings, you know, like, how come there's all this attention that's being turned toward gun control and not talking about the sheriff and his and the fact that the kid, you know, they were called 39 times, and the fact that that police officer stood down and didn't do anything when he could have saved some lives. There's no talk of that. When you bring that up, you're a crazy person. I made a video talking about that, talking about all the ridiculousness that they want us to believe with a lot of the stories and stuff, and they flagged it.
Really?
Yeah, they took it out.
I mean, I'm sure they got rid of probably some Alex Jones videos and stuff that had that there was shooters. There's people, there were students they were talking to.
And they're not letting the students that don't want gun control speak out, you know? I'm just like, there's an agenda, but then there are people that, you know, if you put two and two together, to me it's just common sense. I'm not even like a detective or anything, but it's common sense. And then people are just like, oh, well, you know, you believe in fake news, and all the censoring they're doing now, there are people that are just like, well, that's good because you don't want fake news to spread around, do you? And the thing that kills me too, it's like, well, even if it is fake news, I would still like to know what's out there and let me make my own decision. That's not your business to tell me what I can and can't or should and shouldn't look at or listen to. Exactly. So you're basically saying that everybody else is stupid. But see, people like my brother have this mentality that they're better and that they know better for everybody than everybody, and that they should dictate to them what they can and can't listen to or should and shouldn't listen to, so they can get their ego stroked. So, you know, they won't be told that they're wrong about stuff. It's sickening.
They don't see their confirmation bias. They do not see that. I mean, so if I call myself a conservative or if I call myself a liberal, I'm constantly watching someone who's preaching to the choir. That's all I want to hear. Yeah. I'm not interested in hearing any other point of view, because only this point of view is the one that actually matters. And they don't understand that this is what they're doing. And so it's so obvious because I watched I watch different media outlets, because I also watch alternative media, if I had to compare everything. So I can be objective, and I am. But, I mean, when you really look at it, it's just like they really don't see that confirmation bias. They don't see that the media was manufacturing consent every time when it had to do with this crazy Russian garbage. Where, I mean, people I know them, how their thinking process is politically is actually like, well, you know, they could have, you know, what's turning up is like, you know, maybe there was some Russian collusion and stuff. And collusion is not even a crime. Like, I'm trying to understand, and then I'm like, Donald Trump was a businessman. So I would think that in order to be successful, he definitely had to do business probably overseas, outside of
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
isn't that like natural? Wouldn't that be part of the process? I mean, but no, collusion. And I mean, look at what they did to Flynn. I mean, now I'm going into
Yeah.
current events and all that, but I mean,
That's
it's
fine.
it's been a nightmare, and all they've been doing is trying to get rid of everybody to put Trump into a box so
Yeah.
they can control him. And you can refer all these crazy deep swamp rats so they can come and work around, and they can still continue to push their agenda, and he can actually eventually be a puppet, like Hillary Clinton said when he called her a nasty woman during some debate.
Yeah.
They used that. They were like, nasty woman, now I'm going to wear the shirt. Like, they really saying something.
Yeah,
And
but then they'll dress up like vaginas and be like, who really? Like, who's the nasty woman? Like, who wants to see that? Like, they'll dress up like vaginas, but then complain that men are sexist and men don't like them. I'm like, well, I don't like I really wouldn't be turned on with a guy dressing like a penis, like up like a penis. Like, that's not just a turn on for me.
What is that doing?
I
What is
don't
that
like.
doing?
You think that makes you attractive? Like, you're ridiculous. I don't. You know what I mean?
You make me think of Chris Rock. There was it might have been some stand up he was doing, and he was talking about if you saw someone dressed with a police officer's outfit and you approached them, hey, officer, and he's like, get off of me. What are you doing calling me police officer? Like you were looking there's something wrong. So now he's talking about a woman who's dressed scantily clad, and he's pushing up on her and treating her other way. Like, don't talk to
That was Dave Chappelle.
What's Dave Chappelle?
I think that was Dave Chappelle. He was like, "You're confusing me," something to that effect, right? He's like, "I don't understand." Like, yeah,
it was hilarious, but I mean, it's just a great point,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, like, I know if I'm dressed a certain way, and I'm walking down the street, depending on where I'm at, or wherever I frequent, I'm gonna get a different set of eyeballs or attention looking at me.
Yes, that's why women do that, to get that attention.
It's so obvious.
Yeah, it's like you don't go to the club dressed in like a business suit. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, someone's gonna come and shake your hand, and you're gonna have a problem with that.
Yeah. You're like,
are you there to do business? Are you a lawyer? Like, I mean,
but you're like, why are they asking me about my portfolio? Why aren't they asking me to dance? Like,
exactly. So it's just crazy, and it's hypocritical, it's outlandish, and I just don't subscribe to groupthink. Yeah, I'm always going to be the individual. There's something wrong to me when, I have to be quiet. I'm in a new career.
Yeah, I know.
And it just seems like everybody thinks it's fair game to start having a conversation about Donald Trump.
Oh, especially, I know, because you're a black woman, they just assume that you're going to side with them. I get that all the time. People just walk up to me and they just start blabbing about, I'm like, first of all, I don't even want to hear that. Like, I'm thinking about pizza. I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even thinking about that. I don't want to hear you whine at me. But then when I turn around and I tell them what they don't want to hear, then they can't take it. And I try and be diplomatic. Like, I work for Lyft, right? So I was driving this lady to the airport a day or so ago, and she was from Denmark, or no, she was from Holland. She was kind of snooty. But then, after I kind of, I guess, displayed to her that I can have an intellectual conversation and stuff, the whole issue with immigration came up. And I was like, I was talking about, I'm from Los Angeles, and how immigration, I think is a huge part of the congestion there. And I was like, it's a problem, because a lot of people don't really want to admit it because they want to be politically correct. And she's like, well, is it a problem? And I was like, yeah, when you're a black person and you have to live in a situation where people are coming and taking your jobs, and and I was telling her, I speak Spanish, but I'm saying I don't think that people should have to speak Spanish in America, in their own country. And she was like, well, but then she was like, well, I'm really sorry for your experience. And, but I work in a company that, we hire these millennials, and, they don't want to do the jobs that the foreign people want to do. I was like, this bullshit.
Right.
I was like, this bullshit. I was like, you're not doing outreach to prison programs like Whole Foods, all the agriculture work. A lot of Whole Foods people, a lot of their produce, their cheeses and stuff are made by prisoners, and you're not outreaching to them. And I was like, it is not just my experience. There's like actually a lot of people. And that have my experience. So I was like, well, maybe if you lived and traveled in other parts of the country, you would understand that, and not just in your company. But I was nice about it. She was just like, well, okay, well, yes. She goes, well, this trip is just too short, and there's, a lot of issues that are very complicated. It's not a great. I was like, yeah, okay, have a nice day.
Exactly.
But I've actually had this conversation with quite a few people in my car, and I never bring it up, but if they want to, like, they're not going to tip me. I usually check to see if they tip me, and they usually don't. It's like, I don't care. Like, I'm at the point, I try to be as diplomatic as I can, but I'm not going to say what I want. Even on YouTube, like, I know they're flagging stuff, but I'm prepared to get just kicked off. Both of me and because my best friend and I run this page, we do other videos and stuff too. Like, we're both just prepared to just get kicked off because we're not going to be silenced.
They're doing it. I had engaged whatever comment I had put. I think this was like, I don't know if it was actually a Fox News channel or it was somebody who kind of uploads Fox News videos or something. But I interacted it with the comment. There was a comment I put on it, and there's people liking my comment, and they were like replying to it. So when I went to like tap to engage to see what the person said, this screen popped up, came up, said this has been flagged to be inappropriate or controversial content, some crazy statement. I think I had posted it like on a Facebook page. And so it said to confirm it is or to cancel. So of course I wasn't going to confirm that this is inappropriate content and should be deemed offensive. I said, no, I'm going to cancel it. So I couldn't engage it all on the video because this thing just blocked, and this is what they're doing. So, I mean, this is 1984. It
is. It's
like, what the hell is going on? And I don't know. I don't know. Now, mind you, where I live in a conservative district in New Jersey. There's like NRA signs on the doors, like we don't call the police. So locked and loaded. So that's where I'm at now. I come from New York City, so it's a big difference. But still, it all depends. So, and the only reason why I know they're conservative is the way that they have pretty much voted in the past election. So it's like it's safe to say that it's Trump town where I am. So
I'm in Austin, Texas right now. I'm in a sea of vampires. So I'm struggling. I'm just starting now. I've been here 3 years. I'm just starting now to make friends, like real friends. Because I had the opportunity to make friends. I just don't want any like fake liberal friends. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm not doing that. And
I
and there was a time where I was trying to just be nice and give them the benefit of the doubt and just bite my tongue and just not be because I can be very confrontational. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna be diplomatic. I'm gonna deep breathe. I'm gonna bite my lip. I'm gonna change the subject. I'm gonna eat some food, stuff some food in my mouth, But I'm just over it, and I can't even. Because the thing is too, that what makes me upset about that is like you can't, like we were talking about earlier, like they can't deal with you. We can deal with them,
yes,
but they can't deal with me.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones that are violent, and they're the ones that are intolerant, and they're the ones that would get you fired from your job or spread lies. I'm going to interview another guy who also has a YouTube channel pretty soon, and he said that they found his YouTube, somebody at work found his YouTube channel and said that he was a Trump supporter, and it spread a rumor that he had a gun at his job to try to get him fired.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The crazy thing is that when you try to push against, you continue to try to step on, people that way. I mean, the opposite is going to happen. Like, I really honestly believe Trump's support is growing. I talk to some of my girlfriends. Yeah. I'm always shutting them down with facts and information because that's all you can do. And if you ask them why they voted the way they did in the last election, they can never really tell you why they voted. Well, just because you're a Democrat. I'm like, yeah, I was a Democrat too, but I'm no longer that. So there was this term that we had, the whole Dem exit and stuff. Yeah, I Dem exited. I'm done. And I think
It should be called the Dexit.
Yeah. I think the great unifier between, and I'd say like progressives, because progressives are still kind of outside. They're kind of like, you would look at them similar to maybe the way the Tea Party was viewed. They don't continuously go with the establishment point of view. They have a different point of view, different perspective, and the things that they care about and that matter to them are different. But the kind of progressive, I think the great unifier between it would be progressives and maybe even Trump supporters to some degree is that the corruption. I think a lot of people want to see Hillary Clinton go to jail. Yeah. Maybe Obama, maybe these dirty CIA people like Brennan and Clapper and all these people who basically have worked together clearly to form a coup to frame and overthrow a democratically elected president.
Not only that, but just the people of the country. Like their actions have showed that they don't have any interest or care or anything about the people of this country. Yes. And they're willing, they've sold this out. So technically that's treason.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, you know, I mean, Obama needs to go to jail. Like, I don't even care if he's black. He needs to go to jail. When you're wrong, you're wrong. I don't care what color you are. But that's going to be a hard one because there are a lot of still people that be like, it's racism, and the deep state's going to play that card just to rile people up. They're like, see, even though he was a president, you know, there's still people that don't want a black man to be. They still had to get him. They still have to get him in chains. You know.
Exactly.
So that's going to look bad. But Hillary, man, I don't know. Like, I heard, did they indict her yet? Like, is she supposed to be indicted?
No.
Or did they stage another false flag to get people's attention off of that? So
I think they subpoenaed, I'm glad you brought her up. I think they subpoenaed, there's like over a million records left of, you know, or her drama. You know, even with the Anthony Weiner story, it said that Uma Abedin had a file on her computer that says life insurance, and that there's some interesting things on that file. So, I mean, and the only reason that Comey did the whole Comey letter just before the election was because the NYPD got wind of that. They was able to look at those files, and they said, you better do something, because if you don't put this out here, we're going to do something. And so all of a sudden the Comey letter thing came out or whatever. But, I mean, they have the facts. If they want evidence, they have what do you call it? Quid pro quo? I can't come out right. My mouth right. Quid pro.
I don't know.
I can't get the term out. It won't come out right now. Money laundering, pay for play. I mean, they have all the evidence.
They've done everything in the book. Child slavery, money laundering, selling uranium, selling foreign assets, human trafficking. Like, they done it all. It's like they had a checklist. They're like, but we got to do all the naughty stuff, all the evil stuff there is to do. They did it all. They've done it all.
But I believe there's so many legs to that. Like, if you bring her down, it's like how many others are coming down in the process.
A lot of people. But that's why it's been so hard, because she has a lot of people entangled. But if they have to come down, they have to. They just have to come down. Like, I'm ready for a whole new country in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, if Trump's able to do that, which I thought I was so entertained when he was like, you'd be in jail. I was like, It was awesome. It was great. So I think that would be a great unifier. I think he would grow his base. I think also if he was able to work something out with North Korea, that would be amazing. Yeah. And also maybe perhaps also the issue with Julian Assange, because Julian Assange.
Julian, he needs, just get him out of there.
Let him go. Yeah. He's, like, I mean, if he was to do that, guaranteed he would get the support. And I mean, I don't see that. I don't see anybody the Democrats could run in 2020 that's going to beat Trump. I really don't now.
I think they might try and put Oprah out there. That's going to be hard. Well, I'm not voting for her, but I mean, there are a lot of people that still love Oprah.
And that's the whole thing. So if you're going to say, remember how much they said he wasn't experienced and all this stuff. So we're going to run another billionaire who's inexperienced.
Yeah, but they don't care.
She's going to do better.
Yeah, like hypocrisy has stopped them. They're all about hypocrisy. This is the thing that's made me sick. Like anything that they accuse the other side of, they do 10 times worse.
Yes.
So
Yes.
of course they're gonna bring out Oprah. That's why I say they're gonna bring out Oprah.
But they don't want a Nina Turner or a Tulsi Gabbard who actually served in the military and actually is against regime change wars and overthrowing governments and stuff. They don't want anybody who actually that's on the ground that knows what's going on. But we want to run Oprah. I'm like, yeah, their joke. I'm like, I can't. I'm so done.
I don't know, but I think one thing they need to get straight though, they need to get that ID going because they're gonna try and steal it.
Oh, you mean the whole voter ID?
Yeah,
thing?
they need to get that.
How about that? They need to stop doing. They need to go back to paper ballots because I think they were just saying, even in this recent special election that happened in Pennsylvania with Lamb and Saccone, if I'm saying his name right, they said that they were switching. The system was switching votes. So if someone would try to vote for the Republican candidate, it was switching back to the Democratic candidate.
So they would need to go to paper ballots, and they would need to I still want voter IDs.
I know.
Because there's still people that let people vote illegally.
Exactly. New York City, de Blasio had this voter program where they basically got a city ID. Oh, it gives you all these benefits and perks, but it also would allow them to vote. Basically, immigrants to vote. That's all it was about. So it's just like, and the writing is on the wall, but no one wants to see it, especially if they're on the other side. So.
Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, this is my deal. I really just believe it's a battle between good and evil.
Yes.
And it's the evil and good within all of us because, a lot of people that don't want to look and see the light, they're ruled by pride. It's like, even if you're not a religious person, you can take the motto of the 7 deadly sins and see if you're consumed with any of those things that it will ruin you. And, they're being ruined because of pride. And anger, a lot of them are angry too. Pride and anger, wrath, are just salvaging them.
And they're mad that all their favorite talking heads were wrong. That everybody was wrong about.
That's prideful though. That's the pride though, right? Because they're just
it is.
They have to be like, and it's okay. Like I always say this, it's okay if you were wrong. I've had to admit that a lot. Like a lot of the stuff that I believe now, I never would. I wasn't on this tip like 10 years ago.
Right.
Exactly. Like it's hard. It's been a transformation. It hasn't been overnight.
I've protested and Occupy Wall Street. Oh my God. I've been out to different things to support, but essentially, I met some great people there. Yeah. By the way.
And that's another thing too. This journey is about you meet people and they'll go along on your journey with you.
That's right. So like-minded people or just people from completely different walks of life, but also. I was like, okay, y'all a little crazy. There were some people that were like, oh, I came from Michigan. I came from Idaho, and I'm just camping out here. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, those are people that have extra money to do that. Because who has that? Who's the money to do that?
Right. Like,
they just needed some they need a hobby.
You got the luxury of just getting up and going and camping out in the street and stuff. Of course, this spoke to the privilege.
Totally. And it's like, was that you I was talking about, too? We were talking about how people were just going to, like, the suburbs. I'm leaving. I'm going to Spain. I'm going to. Well, God. Well, gee, you're lucky that you can do that because most people can't. We were talking
about all these people moving to Canada and all this stuff. I was like, wow, that speaks to your privilege. You could just up and leave and just go set up life in a whole other country, right? But they don't understand the arrogance and the whole condescending tones that they give. So it's like, I did that. Like I said, I was there present. I listened to their grievances, but at the same time, too. There's no real platform. There's like, okay, they didn't have a leader. They wanted a horizontal movement, right? So because usually when there's a leader, they take down the leader first. They get rid of them first. Yeah. So if you have a whole horizontal movement, then, they can't attack them that way. But still, again, like I said, this, you found it difficult to be like, okay, why am I out here and what am I protesting for? Like, okay, income inequality. Yes, lots of people are affected by these things. And all right, okay. And it just that it didn't really go anywhere. The way they reported in the liberal newspapers, like in New York, they were talking about how they were dirty hippies having sex in the park. So horrible. They were so mean to them. And I was just like, my goodness. I said, so I saw that back then, but at the same time, too, I was like, if you don't have a real actually, what's your end goal? Then where is this going to go? You're constantly in a state of conflict. I don't like this and I don't like that, but nobody has a resolution. And I think also part of with Trump, why so many people don't like him outside of him being a businessman. I'm sorry, but he's showing how a boss does it right now with him firing people and stuff. I mean, if you've never been to a position, if you've never been in a position of being an employer, and I'm a small business owner too, even right now, if you've never been in that position, you don't understand what's required. You don't understand the roles are completely different when you are kind of,
Yeah.
I mean,
And sometimes you got to go in and just clean house because things are wrong.
right. Exactly.
And especially it wasn't his quote unquote business before he got in there, so you got to clean up whatever mess there was.
Exactly. And I mean, if your employees aren't producing anything, it all depends on what kind of work site you're in. They're so offended and bothered by it, but it's like, he can fire this person. It's his constitutional right. You can't say he can't do this. Oh, it's obstruction of justice and treason. And actually, when we mentioned treason, you made me think of this person from The Intercept. I want to say his name is Glenn Greenfeld, and he was talking Greenwald. He was talking, yes, explicitly what treason means, though, and how dangerous it is for the left to just throw this around as, oh, the president committed treason and all this stuff. It's very specific as to what treason is. And he kind of debated one of his colleagues because his colleagues was kind of writing. His colleague actually was I'll send you the video, by the way, or I'll link it, a Pulitzer Prize winner for the New York Times. And his colleague wrote this article that kind of was, going with what everyone else is saying about Trump colluding with Russia and impeachment and all this garbage. And he challenged his colleague. They work for the same, publication. And he said, no, this is what treason is. And he was very specific. And he was actually saying to him, the guy who's the Pulitzer Prize winner is like, oh, well, I don't know where you stand. Like, I don't know your position. And it's like, I respected that because I said, that's what you're supposed to do as a journalist. You're supposed to give people the facts, and that's it. Do not push your opinion on them or make an argument as to why they should believe what you're writing. Give them the facts and allow them to make a decision on their own. And that is what is missing.
Yes.
Journalism.
Exactly. And it's like, you understand psychology, you have to understand too, if somebody's going to think one way, it's going to take a while for them to process the new information to make decision anyway. So even if you're pushing your stuff on them, by knee-jerk reaction, they're going to go the opposite way because, they're going to take it as offensive, like what's going on now. But we see the lies that they're saying, and if you're savvy enough, you can tell that they're pushing stuff. And that they have malicious intent, then you're going to question it, So anyway, I guess we should start wrapping up because we'll be talking forever. I'm trying to get these interviews shorter. So my question is to you too. My last question is, what do you want to see America become? What is your vision of America for the future?
Well, I don't have a lot of issues with the free market society, as some folks do. I thought for the most part, I considered myself conservative. I was brought up with Christian values. I went to church every Sunday. I had to go to Bible classes on Saturday. I resented it, but it gave me a foundation of right and wrong. And it has so much to do with giving me guidance and principles and things to abide by. And, I would like to see that. And if we're going to be a constitutional society, we care so much about the First Amendment, then, what's going on right now is our First Amendment rights are under attack. Because if we do not agree, if we have a different point of view, a different perspective, you're going to be attacked, you're going to be bullied, or even like that Christian couple who basically has been bankrupted because they decided not to make a cake for a same-sex couple. They put them out of business. So, they're weaponizing, points of view, basically, saying that if you don't think and act like me, there's a problem.
They're the Nazis. They've become the Nazis. They want to throw that
Yes,
word around, but
and they don't realize that, but they're calling, they're accusing this, the right of being that. And so, I just want peace, love, and happiness for the most part. And I want to be able to raise my son to gosh, with some of the same values that I have, teach him and share with him the things that I know. And I mean, I want peace. I don't want us to be at war. I'm hoping that we've been at war like with these fake weapons of mass destruction and stuff for I don't know how many years. I mean, if we weren't at war, we'd have a lot more money in this country. Perhaps, there would be a new generation of baby boomers because I had just saw this article that Toys R Us blamed it on millennials not having babies. That's why they're out of business. So there's so many reasons why we can say that's happening.
How about millennials not having toys? All they have is their electronic devices.
Yeah.
And not wanting toys.
Absolutely. So that's definitely,
People don't play outside anymore. Sorry.
But I mean, if there are opportunities that are no longer available, even they're saying some opportunities to our parents that allow them to enjoy more, the baby boomers are getting ready to retire. So, I mean, now like 1 in 4 Americans have had like 3, 4, 5 jobs by the time they're a certain age. It used to be where someone would get a job and they would stay in that job for probably the rest of their life and retire and be happy. But that no longer stands. So, I mean, I would like to see also, I mean, less homelessness. There's so many things, but you can't fix all the problems of the world.
Yeah.
I'm not arrogant enough to believe that, but you
can help them along though, and you can, it really, as cheesy as it is, like the older I get, I realize it really starts with you. You gotta win that war within yourself.
It really does. So, I mean, I would like to see people getting along. I would like us to get past the 2016 election. That's it. Just maybe, like I said, I know I sound like a hippie. Peace, love, and happiness.
Yeah, that's it. And then you have a business or something? Would you like to plug that?
I do, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue on with it based on the new career that I've gotten myself into. And so I can't commingle the two, basically.
Okay.
Basically, my business right now, as it stands, is an online store. It's called ShalahCorner.com. I'm also author, children's book author for a book called Rascalville.
Well, tell people where they can find you, girl. Like you're
If they go to Facebook, they could go to Shalah's Corner. You'll see a little symbol, an emblem of a little rusty little hat. Kind of makes me think about Williamsburg, Brooklyn. That's my roots, where I'm from.
And it's spelled Shalah.
Yes, and then the
Shalah's with is it apostrophe S or just S? Corner.
It's an apostrophe S.
Shalah's Corner. Okay, give me the links too, and I'll put them in the description.
I will. You got it. And so that's really it in a nutshell with me. But I'm into my new career is going to require me to for folks to be taking a holistic approach to their lives. I'm going to be in financial planning. That's the sector I'm in right now.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm glad we're connected now and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. And I'll get those links to you when I can.
Okay, I will put it up, but I can always just add them later, so it's not a big deal. Okay.
Okay. You got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Peace and love.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.